Okay, for our next video, I'm actually going to go ahead and start cutting out my template. So I'm actually designating my positive shape. I've moved over to my cutting board, as you can see, because I don't want to cut through my master drawing, which is away from the area. So if my oak leaf is going to be an opening, a hole, that means I don't want to be cutting here on these edges that are not part of the oak leaf. So what I would do is, like I said, you could tone in the part that is going to be an opening. I'm just going to do my best to remember, and so I'm going to start cutting. And when I go around corners, curves, I lead into the corner like that, and I use quite a bit of pressure. I want to have one clean cut through. I am an ex-airbrush artist, so using an X-Acto and cutting Friskets I did for 12 years, and it's like drawing to me. It may take you a little practice to get the right pressure level. Now, right down here, it would be easy to cut right through here. Don't do that. What I would say is cut just the parts that are part of the oak leaf. So I stopped at this part, and now I'm actually going to go in and cut the inner vein. And I kind of missed at the top. We'll hope for the best on that. I'm actually going to widen it in the cut, like that. Then I'm going to go and start the other side of the oak leaf. Guess my hand's kind of blocking the view of the camera, but I'll kind of show you how I'm proceeding with this. When I get to a far enough point in this process, I'll kind of pop the shape out to show you what I have already cut out. So like right here, you can see I've actually got it to the point where I can pop that out. Now if it sticks, just go back with a knife. Don't try to tear it, because that'll give you a rugged edge. And just, you can see I'm able to lift most of it out. The parts that are not detaching are the edges that I haven't created, out to the bleed line. And as soon as I do that, here and here, you can see now that leaf starts to lift out. If I tug on it, don't try to tear it apart. Just nip that part that's hanging on, and now you can see I can lift the entire leaf out. You want to be slow and gentle and keep checking that you're cutting the right edge. So right about here, see at this corner it wants to stick. So use your knife, and by the way, don't use scissors, they will not work for this. They'll just make a mess of things. So right here you see this is a delicate part. I'm going to pull that away, and there I have what could potentially become the inner shape on the other design, if we choose to use it twice. Now I've had you draw these twice in case something, let's say that shape gets screwed up somehow and you want to try again. You have a second drawing set up. Anyway, so you just go ahead. And so now I'm going to cut the other two smaller shapes out. And again, this is the hole. The opening is where the ink goes through. That means it's going to be a positive shape. And just set them aside and save them. You know, now you notice I'm using a straight edge for my outer edge, even though that's going to be cut off and bleed. I do use the straight edges, the triangle and the ruler. A transparent triangle is better because I can see through. Make sure I've got it in the right position. And now, if you look there, I've got move them a little closer, I've got my three parts cut out. So that's the positive shape, and that's what it will look like if I lift that up. Then, what do I do for the next shape? Well, now it's just the opposite, so I'll go ahead and just I'll get that started, and maybe we'll go right to finish. So I'm cutting along the same edges, right? This is where confusion can take over. But instead of cutting this corner out, I now cut, kind of missed there, but that's okay. It's in the bleed zone. So you can see what I just did. This is solid. That's now an opening. And so I will continue. I'll actually, now I know that this entire shape, this edge has to come off. If you make a mistake on the second one and you cut out the same shape again, it is possible to take the parts and reposition them and seal in the edges that are cut. It's kind of hard to explain that without actually doing it. But I'll show you what I mean once I get this one cut out. So there's a sticky point. And here again, usually on those turns, you can see it wants to stick. And so even with the pieces I'm not going to use, I'm going to be careful. I'm not just going to rip and tear. I use that knife, and now you see I have the opposite piece setting up over here. And I'm getting a nice, and I'll show you at the end of the process, but I'm getting a nice negative shape starting. Kind of fast forward. Actually, I missed right there. I cut on the inside edge. Let's go to the outside edge. The danger of me speeding up is I might screw it up. I might lift out the wrong shape. I'll complete the cutting of both, so just so you understand that you do need a positive and negative shape and how you're going to get there. If you are not experienced with cutting with an X-Acto knife and you feel like your edges are ragged, try again. And this time slow down and use lots of pressure with your knife on a good cutting board. This is where a good self-healing cutting board will really help you out in getting a nice clean shape. So if you find yourself pulling a lot, by the way, like that, it means you haven't cut all the way through. So that part comes out. And the challenging part is the vein that I indicated, right? So you can get an idea now why I've told you to keep your designs fairly simple and not create too many small shapes. Just this one vein was the challenging part. I'm just going to nip that. What if I had 20 of those in the design? It would be impossible. So I'll just kind of show you this, what that should look like. And there you go. You actually see both designs. It will want to curl up like this, right? And that's always, this is where the tricky part comes in, where we're going to flip this over. We're going to peel this actually and flip it over, which I'll show in the next video.